1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, we're on. Hello, everybody. I want to walk you through where we are as of June 17th of 2024 with the Florida Wildlife XR Corridor. And when you start out, you will be here in home. And let me enlarge this screen. And you start out at the entrance of the Florida watercolor map created by the Florida Wildlife Corridor Committee and Foundation and their talented folks. So it's Florida, it's a beautiful map, and you start in Tampa Bay where I'm talking to you from. And as you come into the map to go on your Planetwalk, you will notice that the first thing you see is Mallory from the FWC, and when you click on that,
Welcome, Florida Wildlife Corridor Expeditioners. My name is Mallory Dimmitt, and I'm the CEO of the Florida Wildlife Corridor Foundation. I am so happy that you're here, and I'm excited to introduce you to our incredible mission and the Welcome, Florida Wildlife Corridor Expeditioners. My name is Mallory Dimmitt, and I'm the CEO of the Florida Wildlife Corridor Foundation. I am so happy that you're here, and I'm excited to introduce you to our incredible mission and the geography that we're dedicated to protecting along with our many partners. The Florida Wildlife Corridor spans 18 million acres from the Everglades all the way to the Panhandle, and it's connected by public lands like our state parks and private working lands like forest plantations and cattle ranches. And this landscape benefits wildlife and explorers just like you. I've personally hiked, biked, and paddled over 2,500 miles on our expeditions to raise awareness about the Florida Wildlife Corridor. And our work goes so far beyond exploration. It's really about aligning our partners and opportunities to protect this connected landscape for generations to come. So I invite you to virtually explore the Florida Wildlife Corridor, where what took me 100 days to traverse, you're going to be able to navigate in just minutes. But while you're here, you're going to discover habitats like forests, wetlands, rivers, and springs, and get to know their unique features and inhabitants. As you're exploring, I ask you to please think about the impact of our human activities. How can our actions help protect these special places? We need bright, creative minds just like yours to continue the mission to connect, protect, and restore the Florida Wildlife Corridor. I hope you enjoy the sights and sounds of wild Florida while you're here. And remember, nothing beats the real thing. So I ask you to take further action by getting out into nature and inspiring others to do the same. Together, we can make a difference. Happy exploring.
Video, there's the pop out, and you start out there, and then you have these billboards that tell you, or notice boards that tell you about the Florida Wildlife Virtual Corridor. All of these are pop outs, so when you click on them you can then read that it's the extended reality corridor, an interactive immersive opportunity to explore interesting places in and connected to the Florida Wildlife Corridor. And it's free, can be used by organizations and groups to share your own stories, and we'll get to that in a second because we've created a sandbox for you to share your own stories, your pictures and experiences. It's a meeting space, kind of like Zoom or Microsoft Teams on steroids. So you can have meetups in here. Right now I'm the only person in, and as you walk up here, you'll see that there are 12 corridor portals. And I'll run all the way up the state here to the farthest one upstate from Tampa. And when we get up to here, you see Blackwater. When you go to this portal, you have the option of clicking on it and transporting yourself there. You'll know what the 12 corridor portals are by looking, and you can see that we have the Florida Wildlife Corridor sign or arrow pointing down to them, so you can see where they are in the state. And of course there's many more to come, but we've started with 12. And when you click on that, you teleport in there, and you can have an experience inside one of the many skyboxes that you would experience if you actually went there. And when you get into that world, you'll see a little kiosk that shows you where you are on the map. This is Blackwater, right? And those are clickable, and then you can see where in Florida we are and how large that is. As you can see, let me click on it again. We're way up here in this part of the state to the northwest. And this is a skybox around it that was taken by travelers there, and we have several of them around the landscape. And an advanced user can click on this, and it is not a portal. These are actually skyboxes, and when you interact with them, and I think that this is now closed to interaction, which makes sense. And I think now, yeah, it would have to be opened up. The host of the space can take any one of these skyboxes and duplicate it and throw it up onto the big screen or the dome, so to speak. But for the average user, and I've come in as a user now, not as a host, for the user, there is nothing to do with them. That makes it so that the public can't disturb or destroy this. The teacher or the host, the guide, has access to bring these up. And later on, I'll make a tutorial where we go in and show how that is done. But you visit this, and then your host can show you several skyboxes of those areas. And when you're done exploring those, then you go back to the home of the wildlife corridor, which is the watercolor map. And let's just wait until we get back in there. And you'll see that I am a host of, so I'll show you that. But let me run forward and go to another one of the mapped spaces to give you an idea what that looks like. So let's jump up. That was the one up there. Let's go to here, to Gold Head. So if I click on Gold Head, again designated by this arrow with the crane, and travel to that state park, it's going to be the same environment. And so here, once again, we have a map that shows where Gold Head Branch is in the state and how big it is, and you get that satellite map. You have a sign here that tells you about what we expect students to do. So explore, observe, take notes, document what you've learned, and then share. So that's part of the curriculum there. And then when you come up here, you get some information about some of the ideas, some of the iconic wildlife that are featured by the Florida State Parks. And so you have that. And of course, the possibilities of expanding that are endless. There is an activity here that asks you to go into the history of it and tells you a bit about that park, and then it gives you the URL that you can click on and go to. And again, a lot of skyboxes. Here I can give you the example because I have host privileges on this. So just watch how I'm going to change this. I'll actually go to this one here. I'll change this, and the way I do it is I duplicate that skybox so that I don't destroy it. So there's the skybox that I've duplicated. And then I go back to this one and I lock it so nothing can happen to it. I go here, having duplicated it, and I go set skybox. And boom, we've got another environment that we can explore. And the original disappeared. I'm sorry, the copy disappeared. The original stays there because I locked it. There's the lock and unlock button. And then the host can say, let's see if we look at this skybox here. You go to the skybox, you click on it, you then duplicate it, bring that duplicate over, lock the original so we don't lose it, come over to the duplicate, and then set it as a skybox. And now we have another skybox that people can use to see what it looks like over there. So this can be done again and again and again. We can add more skyboxes as we have them. I'm going to travel back home for this. Just giving you an idea of this way you walk up and down the state and you get to know what the wildlife corridor looks like. So we've done these two. If we go over here to Rice Creek, same thing. Travel over to Rice Creek and go to the Rice Creek area, and you see it's quite different. So each habitat is a lot different. And here are more skyboxes over here. Let's see if I have the privileges to open that up. No, I don't. So this one I cannot show you, but the host certainly could. And we could throw these skybox up if those privileges were awarded to me. So that gives some measure of control to the host of the space. They can lead these tours, but the average visitor visiting at midnight from their own home cannot accidentally erase anything or damage anything. So coming back here again, let's see just one more of these. And if I jump up here to Withlacoochee. This one is special. This was done with a different design. This is done with a drone photogrammetry of Withlacoochee, and you'll see that rather than the standard circle with a skybox, this is an immersive environment. Now, the only problem with immersive environments is they're memory intensive, so this is going to take up a lot more memory on your computer than the simple skybox and circle. So here, when you bring people into this space and you take them a walk, see it's a bit laggy because it's so big. So I got to wait for this all to render. But here you can go on incredible walks to see that landscape as if you were in there, rather than looking at a skybox dome. But as you can see, because it's so memory intensive and it was taken with drone footage, there's floating bits that look sort of like avatars, rocks floating in the sky. Some of the assets can look like they're Salvador Dali-esque. There's actual tree models brought in here, which take up a lot of memory. But when this was scanned with the drone, there's an arrow here that invites you to climb up the actual observation tower. So let's try to get through there. Again, it depends on how fast your internet speed is and how good your computer is. That's why we haven't done all of them like this. But you can go up the hill. Come on, you can do it. You can make it up. You can make it up. Come on, buddy. There we go. Coming up the hill. And this is the actual tower scanned in, then rendered as a mesh with a collision so that you can sit down, and from there you can observe the landscape from above. So that's a lot more fun than just the boxes that we had around the circle, but again, much more memory intensive, much more complex to build out. But it shows you the possibilities, and then we want you to be familiar with all those possibilities. Now, if I jump off, I will not die, fortunately. Don't do that in real life, folks. We are professional avatars, so please do not try this at home. And then I will walk to the kiosk over here, or to the Chickie, and find my way back to the sandbox. There we go. Now we're taking ourselves back. Note that this is much more impressive in virtual reality. So if you have a VR headset, this really comes to life, and it's so much fun to visit. So the other ones around here, like Disney Wilderness Preserve and down to the Everglades, you can visit, and we encourage people to come in and visit each of these portals and enjoy that walk, seeing the wildlife with the sandhill cranes here. We'll go to one more. Let's travel to Everglades, check that out. And here we are. We're waiting for the skybox to load. Okay. And so once again, this is what it looks like when you're there. It's a full 360 of the area. And here we have more of these skyboxes that the host can put in. And I don't have host privileges to show you here just as a user. I have host privileges as a developer, but I'm showing what you would experience, and we don't have those host privileges for just the average visitor. It'd be a teacher who's been given host privileges to come in and then can lead the tour and show different skyboxes. Okay, so we won't visit all 12, but you have all 12 to visit, and they can be expanded in the future. That just gets you started. Now, what we also have in here is we have a portal that goes to the corridor Planetlines experience, which is curated by John Francis, the planet walker, and from National Geographic. And here you come up upon John, and there's his avatar, and he's playing his iconic banjo right there. And you can walk around the corridor and visit and see different wildlife. Like there's water over here with manatees in it. You can walk right into the water, see the tortoises, turtles, and see the manatees, see maps, explore Native American heritage, learn about the wildlife. We just encountered a deer, the bears, and climb up here and learn all about M34, the black bear, which is super cool, and find out about M34's journey, 500 miles in 8 weeks, and read about that. So that's super exciting. And go over to, see, it's a bit slow because it's a much more complex world, but you can come back to the corridor through here. So actually, I do want to show you one other thing here. I want to show you the Native American village, if I can pilot myself around here, because we take indigenous knowledge systems really seriously. They have been the stewards of this land for untold millennia, since 12,000 BC. Their lifestyle was impacted very heavily in the 1700s, but they're still here. They haven't gone anywhere, and they're working hard to preserve that wild heritage that made Florida so unique with their wonderful cultural knowings and helpings. And so we celebrate, there's Bobby Henry, the medicine man, and we've met with him, and he's experienced this in VR. So we're really happy to have Bobby Henry from the Florida Seminole tribe working with us to make sure that what we put forth in this XR experience is authentic. So great to see Bobby Henry there. And in fact, when you jump up on here, you can see us with Bobby. There's John Francis. We met down in one of the parks a couple months ago, and we put Bobby right into the VR headset, so he had the same experience you're having now. He was able to go in and see the relatives, Brother Bear and Brother Fox and Sister Sandhill Crane and the trees. So Bobby was able to work to make sure that this transformative journey is properly vetted and is honoring indigenous knowledge and heritage, which we do with deep reverence and humility. So we've sought the guidance, wisdom, and blessings of the indigenous communities. And here's Dr. John Francis presenting an offering of tobacco, the ancestral symbol of respect and connection to Bobby Henry, a cherished collaborator. So you can read about that and know that we are working very hard to make sure that as technology develops, that we are also working with the best of tradition and the best of the future possibilities that humanity is co-creating, in fact, with our wildlife, as well as all cultures. So I move around here and I encounter more maps and critical connections. There's an awful lot you can learn if you're a teacher taking your students around to learn about this, but you're not able to travel in person. Then there's a lot that can be learned virtually. Now it is, again, much easier to walk and navigate this space if you are in a VR headset. And I think I'm just getting lost in the woods here because my computer is not in a place where there's a great internet connection. So excuse me for having to walk through trees to get back to the spot where we can get out of here. But it does give you that sense of exploration, which is so exciting, that you can walk through and see all this. And then as we get back to the map, past John's avatar, then I can click on that beautiful Florida map. And by the way, there it is right there. If you want to look through my eyes, that's what I'm seeing. If I click on it, this is the Florida Wildlife Corridor watercolor map that we've used as the base for this experience. All right, so much that can be done with this. You can, of course, make your own worlds to celebrate the Florida Wildlife Corridor and your relation to it. And that's why we've created out here a sandbox. So when you come out here to explore the corridor and you go out here into Tampa Bay, near Crystal River, into the Gulf of Mexico, there is a portal here that you can use to get to our sandbox, the Florida Wildlife XR Corridor Sandbox. And when I travel there, you'll notice it's identical to the watercolor map that we use as our entrance point to all of the spaces, but it has something special. It has sandboxes. So you'll notice, first of all, as Danielle from the Florida Wildlife Corridor was talking about today, you'll notice that it's different in that it does have sandboxes as well as sand castles on the beach. And when you come in here, you see the same things, a way to get to Planetlines that we just experienced with the Indigenous Knowledge System. Everything there is the same, but there's things added that are super exciting. One of them is that there's a video over here of a black bear. Let me see if I can zoom in on it.
They're small. Just go to eBay Motors where the check means a guaranteed fit. Let's ride.
Design accordingly so that wildlife has the ability to do that. So this is identical to the other space, but what it has that's much different is here we have kiosks around each place. Like here's the travel to Withlacoochee that you just saw when we went up the observation tower. But here you come and you see a kiosk, and the kiosk asks you to put different designs onto it. And what I'm putting onto it, let me show you how I do it so you have a bit of that on there. Let me click on this and unlock it, and let me duplicate it. Here is a little board for plants, and let me lock it back up. So I'm going to lock that here. Here is a place to do animals. Oops, let me move that back in place, and let me lock it, and grab this one here and move it over. And here is a little piece I created for doing, there it is, for doing landscapes. And let me lock this one back up so it can't be interfered with. And now I'm going to take it and move it over to these kiosks here. And this is a painstaking process, but you get familiar with it. It's not as hard as it seems, and I'll have to tell you, if you're in the VR headset, then it's really easy because you can just walk up and grab these things. On a computer, it is a lot harder to work with digital assets this way, but let me show you what I mean. So plants I'm going to bring over to here, and animals I'm going to bring over to here. Let's try that. And let me bring landscapes over to here. And let's see if I can move it there. Then I'm going to walk over, and I'm going to take plants and put that legend down. Maybe this one will be up here. To get the exact spacing, I can go here and bring it down in the y-axis, bring it in on the x-axis so it hits our kiosk. There we go. Go to rotation and rotate it. Then go in the z-axis and move it a little bit more. Oops. And as I said, this is all going to be much easier when you are, oops, I think I brought it too far in. There to go, there it is. It's much easier when you're in the VR headset, but there it is. And let me bring it down now to the bottom there, and then let me lock it. Same thing with animals. I bring it, let me center myself. This is the technique that you want to do. Walk over and center yourself. I see that one there, by the way, I'm still on that, so let me unlock that and let me go to edit, and let's move it in the X direction, and let's move it in the Z direction. Okay, and then let's lock it again. So there's a lot of playing around that you end up doing to get things positioned properly. Let's rotate this guy here and rotate it in this direction. Okay, and let's move it down this way, and let's lock it. And then we have landscapes, and we go here and we bring it in there. Again, I think I'm going to have to bring it in with the Y direction to here and bring it in X. And your students really will learn XYZ coordinate systems, which is great for geography as well as for math. So we think that this is a really good way to reinforce spatial thinking. Let me rotate this, and these skills are used more and more and more. Okay, so there's that landscape, and I lock it. So this is telling students, hey, we want to replace these pictures with plants. So I have John Francis here for now. Let me go through my own eyes. And you can enlarge it and see John on the trail. But this kiosk is for plants. And so let's go and put in a plant. You see where it says replace right here? If I hit replace, and then I have a picture on my hard drive of plants, there's some plants right there, then I can pop that right in there and it snaps. Another student can come up here and say, well, I'd love to put in some plants here. Go to replace and then go to upload. If they don't have any, select from your device and then find a picture of plants that you want to put in. Do I have any plants on my hard drive? Not altogether sure, but I can certainly put in stuff later on. So I don't seem to have, here's one of Withlacoochee, but that's not the right place. So what I would probably do, so I can show you the procedure, is if we are, for example, and let's find the world that we're in Withlacoochee. Okay, so what you want to do here is you'd want to come up to your Google and say Withlacoochee, and make sure you spell it right, Withlacoochee plants, for example. And then go to images and find the unique plants of Withlacoochee, like this begonia Withlacoochee. That's a really nice one. And let's download that. So let's save that image as, and call it begonia Withlacoochee. And now it's going into my drive. And now when I go back to spatial, I click on this and I say, hey, you know what? Replace that with an upload from my downloads folder, which is here. And there's begonia. And now, bing, there's that begonia. Now you notice it overlaps a little bit. So what you could do is then unlock it if you have that privilege. You have to be very careful not to erase. And you can scale the picture so that it fits better on the board and move it over a little bit. And then you click done and you have that plant there. Also want to make sure then that we lock it again. So we could do that with all the pictures there. Same thing with the animals. We can click on the animal and we could then go and replace it. If we have an animal or even a video, we could plant the video there, then we would put that in. Again, if you don't have one immediately available, you can select it from your device. And let's see if I have any pictures of animals that I can bring in. Do I have any animals here? I have people, they're animals, but I may not have any animals in here. So, there we go, a Florida Panther. So now I take my Florida Panther off my hard drive, bingo, that Florida Panther sits there. Same thing with a landscape. You can come in here and click on the landscape and go replace. And then if you find a landscape that you want, for example, there is this beautiful landscape of a river. It's not the right one. Technically, this should be the Withlacoochee landscape. So once again, let's say Withlacoochee landscape. And now that we've got Withlacoochee landscape, say, well, this is a really pretty part from Florida Paddle Notes of the Withlacoochee landscape, and I want to put that in, so you would want to save the image and Withlacoochee River in your downloads or whatever folder you have, go back to the corridor and replace that with an upload of, you can see how long it takes, but this is part of the learning process. Let's go to downloads and Withlacoochee River, colors is there, and bang, you've replaced it with that. So we have that in every single one of these areas that you were visiting in the main map. Here's Goldhead, and you have plants, and you've got animals, and you've got landscapes. And you can go in and click on those and drop in your own images. Here's a panther. Let's see, this is Goldhead. Let's find out. This is part of the exercise. Like, oh my gosh, let's find out what animals are in Goldhead Park. So we'll go Goldhead Park, State Park, animals. And this is how you do research and find out, and you do this interactively. So look at this beautiful snake from Goldhead State Park. That's really cool. So let's just save this image of the snake and call it Goldhead Snake. Let's do that. Let's also do something for later. Let's get a picture from this to go in when we get to the landscape park. So Goldhead River landscape. So let's get that in here. And then for our plant, let's see what we want to do for the plants. I'll type in plants here. And there we go, plants. And yeah, there's a beautiful lily pad that's part of it. Or there is this one here. I'm going to take the lily pad now for this. Or maybe, that's good, I'll take the lily pad and I'm going to save the image and call it Goldhead Lily Pad. All right, now when we get back, you can see how simple this is working out to be. I'll replace this panther with clicking on the replace icon, I will go to my upload. And you notice once they've been uploaded, they appear in your images folder. So you create a bank of images with this. But let's select it from your device and go to the snake and replace it. And bang, there's the snake. And then the landscape. Let's go in and let's replace this landscape once we get there. Okay. So there's the landscape, and let's go and upload and select from the device, and let's get that beautiful river going in there. Bingo, that's beautiful. And let's walk over and do the plants, and let's replace this image with that Goldhead River plant so that we have the precise plants, animals, and landscapes from that particular part of the Florida Wildlife Corridor, so people know what to expect. And so bang, there's the lily pads. And of course, when you come in as a student, you can replace what a previous student has put in. If you want to save what you have, then you come in here and you go to the settings and you go down to save as template and you give it your name, FWC Sandbox, and then it'll save on your computer and you can have a copy of what you did. So that's all under settings, because other people will come into this playground and they will start replacing your pictures with their pictures, and that's part of the joy of it, being able to come in and have conversations about it. So we do encourage that. Now there's another thing that people do, and you can see over here that we were playing in here today, and Danielle said art is nature and nature is art, and she dropped a portal to another college's space where you can explore art and fashion and science and architecture. And that's nothing to do with the Florida Wildlife Corridor per se, but it was some place that she wanted to share with visitors. We say, I love art, zen, nature. So you can then put in notes to say stuff. So if I walk over here and I say, you know what, here is a part of Florida that I want to come over and explore, and I don't know if there's a world created, I'm going to see if there's anything about Florida that I can drop in or that I can have a conversation about. I go to add content and I go to create portal and then choose space and then go to search. And if I say Florida, then let's see what comes up. There's a Florida house, a Florida home, Central Florida. So there's some stuff related to Florida, but nothing really to that part because nobody's created it yet. There's also wildlife. If you try that out, let's see if wildlife comes up. This is a photo gallery of wildlife somebody's created. There's birds and wildlife. There's another wildlife space. So people are creating all sorts of spaces, and you might want to visit them. Like here's African wildlife. Here's Rice Creek Wildlife Area that we've created. This is how you drop portals. Let's say we put in this Cumin Arts African Wildlife Portal. Oh, it actually took us there instead, and I did not want to go in there. I wanted to drop the portal in there. So let me go back into our place, and let me run up to an empty space up here, past all of our stuff. You can have incredible dialogues as you share portals and spaces, but what often you want to do, and let me do it again for you, is you go to Create Portal, which is really just a hyperlink, and choose Space, and then what you would do when you found the space, like here's My African Dream, let's say we wanted to put that in, it's got elephants and all that, is you would copy the link, okay, and then you would create from link, and you'd put it here, and you'd say a visit, let me get the cap lock up, a visit to African wildlife, for example, and then you might say, join me, okay? And you drop a portal, it's called, and it appears there, and then you can add a note to it, and you can say, by going to add note over here, you can say, hey guys, let's check out some African wildlife and talk about convergence and similar challenges that wildlife face here in Florida and over the ocean, or something like that. So, and then you can sign it, TH, and that little note appears there, and with that note you can size it, and that way visitors can see what you suggested they visit. The only challenge is once you're in that world, you will not have a portal to get back to this world. You'll have to go in with whatever link you have, because this is somebody else's world. But you can build your own worlds and put them in. So we have that there to be able to travel places. There's also a chat down here. If you're in here with friends, then you can say, hey guys, you want to travel to Africa with me? I hear John Francis, the planet walker, is walking Planetlines there now. And it comes up for everybody to read as a chat thing. And so that way in real time you're telling people what you want to do. But know that there is a microphone in here, and you actually don't have to write, because you have a microphone. Now there's a microphone up here, and people can hear you talk when you're talking. So it actually is recording your voice. And you also have the ability to start a video if you can hook up your camera to it. So you have to accept the permissions, and then your camera can show your face above your avatar. Right now, my camera is using OBS Studio, so I can't turn on my camera to show you because I'm recording my camera on this. But later on, I'll figure out a way to record my camera. But your real face will appear just like in Zoom or Microsoft Teams above your head, and you can have conversations in here. So that's really exciting. Let's go around here, by the way, and go down to my own portal that I've added. So down here in the Tampa area, which is not part of the corridor, we have the Rosebud Continuum Ecoscience Center. And there we've created, as you can see here, a Trashcrete Panther sculpture. Now let me explain what that is. Trashcrete is a mix, and I can enlarge this to show you. So let's go here, and let me unlock this and make this just a little bit bigger so you can read it. Scale it up, and let me move it up like that. Or actually, let me move it there. I have to rotate it a bit. Okay, so there's my note. And let me lock it again so I don't lose it. So note that when I come up here and I go and I read it, It says this is a portal to our home corridor in Pasco County, where we celebrate wildlife with trash-crete sculptures, trash art made from plastic and glass garbage, shredded, crushed, and mixed with cement and painted. And there's one of the ones that we have here on the property that I scanned in with my phone and made into a model and brought into the world. You can see when I click on it here, if I unlock it and go to edit, you can see that I can move it down and I can move it up and I can scale it and size it, so maybe it's a little bit small. I think the real size is something like that, and then I can hit that, and then I can lock it so it doesn't get moved again, and there we have it. So you can bring in your own models. I also brought in another model that I took with my phone, and that is over here. If you go to the Disney Wilderness, when we were there, let me travel there and I'll show you and we'll come back out. When we were in the Disney Wilderness Preserve, we were with the Girl Scouts and the Nature Conservancy in this incredible environment here. And behind this building, we got on a big swamp buggy and went all over the park. These are skyboxes, by the way, that a teacher who has host permissions can replace so you can actually see different parts of the park. Again, I don't have those permissions here. They're locked unless I'm in my creative mode. But this is the park, and we took this swamp buggy on these trails, the yellow trails and the red trails, and it was absolutely marvelous. And while I was there, when we got off the buggy, I took my camera and aimed it at this swamp buggy and took a photo scan of it, and then it processed and I uploaded it to Sketchfab, which is Sketchfab. Let me show you Sketchfab. This is Sketchfab. Here you see I have my swamp buggy that I'd uploaded, and there's the 3D model here. So you need to get a free Sketchfab account if you really want to get into this. So there's the model I took with my phone and then uploaded for everybody else to be able to download in Sketchfab. See how it says download 3D model here? My handle is Innoventor2020. This is my account, and I made it free to download for everybody if you want to put it in your own spatial places. I also did the Rosebud Continuum, where I live and work here in Pasco, where we have that trash-crete Panther. This was taken by my drone. I flew my drone and then brought that into a program called Meshroom. Other people bring it into Polycam. You see we have our biodigesters and our solar panels. That dragon is a biodigester to turn food from toilet waste into fertilizer and fuel for the gardens that we have here to grow food and to protect wildlife from the effects of landfill growth, which causes habitat destruction. So that's a little model that I have there that, again, is downloadable for everybody if they want to put that in their models. And then I made a sandhill crane, or rather I didn't make the crane, I painted the crane. I found a black and white crane, and I did some painting in a program called Blender and made that available to be downloaded, and now that's in the quarter down by the Everglades. And then I made biodigesters, and there's one of my students' trees that he scanned with his drone in his backyard down in Tampa, and we thought, wouldn't it be neat if we had a tree? And a lot of people have contributed realistic palm trees and trumpet vines and buildings, and there's so many objects that you can get from Sketchfab. These are just the ones that I myself have either made or painted or scanned in, like this landscape sign here that I put on to the kiosks. You can all have access to that. I want to make everything I have available to everybody, and you see I've got there's the plant sign. So I make these signs using a program called Blender, and then I sometimes go into Unity. These are all free programs. I've got IBC tanks, I got biodigesters. So you can download these and bring them in to your spatial account. So that's what's cool. And they give a lot of good articles on getting started and how to, spatial's a program for everybody. So they teach you a lot right online. And so when I go in here, and did I get kicked out? I might have gotten kicked out for lack of activity. Looks like I did. Okay, so let me go back in spatial, go to my recent, or go to my loved spaces. I'll go into loved, and the way that you find spaces again is you hit that loved sign. So that little thing here, that way you'll always find them in all your loved spaces. So if I go to that sandbox again, using my loved spaces or my recent spaces, it's a lot easier and faster to get in. So just click on love down here, that little heart, and then you'll be able to find it again from spatial. So I had gone to the Disney Reserve, and I'm a host of this space good, so I can add stuff into it. And so there you see the actual scan of the, just give it a second to load. There's the scan of that swamp buggy scaled up to the real size that it was. Now, I'm walking through it like a ghost because unless you develop a spatial world in a program called Unity, which is what gamers and game developers use, you're not going to have what they call collisions. So all this is going to be ghostly, and you're not going to be able to get up and sit in the seats. If you use Unity to develop these things, then yes, you can absolutely come in and climb up and sit down and even drive the vehicles. But this is just using spatial and Sketchfab. And so I have a legend here that says, when I was with the Girl Scouts and Nature Conservancy at Disney Wilderness Preserve, I scanned the swamp buggy that we rode on with my phone, and now I've brought it to our playground. Try this yourself. And we've brought in trees that way. And so there's so much you can bring in. I mean, this kiosk I brought in, this fence I brought in. There's pictures of John Francis working with kids on the nature trail on a Planetwalk. Here is the beautiful mural that's at the Disney Wilderness Preserve for the Nature Conservancy, showing all the wildlife you may spot on that trail. So you can bring all these pictures in, and finally I brought in my own little portal of my own world that I created myself using that scan of Rosebud Continuum Ecoscience Center, which I made available on Sketchfab. But when we travel there, you'll see that I've taken that model and we've got an entire photogrammetric scan of the area going up the driveway. Now again, it looks like the Withlacoochee Preserve. It looks very Salvador Dali melted because this is a really complex mesh. There's the cars, they look melted. There's the, everything looks kind of melted. And it really gets laggy because it's so big. So you do want to be mindful when you're developing spaces of how big you want these spaces to be, because they will totally bog you down, right? But the potential to put your own home, your own neighborhood in here is tremendous. Let's see if I can even get this guy to walk because it's really lagging now. But I do have another portal of a less laggy version. So when I click on this portal, let me come back here. This is a much smaller world of my area of interest, the Rosebud Continuum, where we've had a lot of our meetings on this. So it's a much smaller scan. And so when I come in here, you can see it doesn't lag as much. There's a skybox of the real place showing all of the teepees that we have and the biodigester. And we've put a bear in there, and we've put sandhill cranes, and we've put maps. So we really can begin to explore. So there's a composting toilet that we have, and there is a conversation we were having about GIS and so many different things. Here's that video of the bear that we were talking about earlier, and a lot more portals. And note that you can put in chairs and then sit down to have a conversation. And if other people visit, they can sit in this chair and this chair, and you can talk to one another. And there's a goat we've put in there. And now if we wanted to get to that teepee over there, we can't really get there because we'd fall through the edge of the world because it isn't a big space. So what we do is we walk toward there is we put in another portal, and we take another section of the landscape in our backyard, and we make a spatial world of that. That way we keep the memory low. So here we have a drone scan I did with a different skybox, and there's the teepees that you can see there, and that's a drone scan of the teepee, but I was able to put a roaring fire inside and a sleeping bag and a pot out there for cooking. This is the Native American village we have, and then we were able to put in a scan taken with the drone of our team, our development team, when they were visiting Rosebud. And of course it looks kind of weird, but that is another asset we can put in. And then where we have gopher tortoise nests on the property, we were able to identify that and then bring in an animated model, as you can see here, of a gopher tortoise, 2 gopher tortoises right outside the hole where they actually are. And then we can always visit them because they're not always visible. So that's an example of how you can use multiple landscapes and make these different portals to these different worlds, and in so doing you can literally cover the entire state of Florida or the entire world. Here we have, for example, the ability to put in, see if this plays here, there's a video, and I should be able to make it big. And we get to computer lagging stuff. These recursive portals to get from place to place, and then you can take people on much longer journeys. That's the point of this. Okay, so now I'm in here. It looks like somebody else is visiting. Oh, it's me visiting twice. Isn't that something? So there's me visiting me, and know that you can just keep putting in portals and keep putting in portals, but this is the sandbox where we invite you to come over to the kiosks. Oh, this is not the sandbox. My bad. This is funny. This is the home world that you first come into. Here's the sandbox once again. So let's go to the sandbox to play. And then we get to the place with the notice boards or kiosks where you can put your own pictures in. So let's get over there. And good. Now you see, obviously it has the sandboxes. You know you're in the sandbox now. And then we run over to the kiosks and say, hey, you know what? I want to put in some material for the Merritt Island National Reserve. So we come over here to where it says plants, bring myself out, and click on the picture of John Francis. We know that we can replace it. Let's go over to Google and let's say Merritt Island plants and find the images. And there's a very pretty wildflower. There's orchids. Let's go and let's bring this one down and right click and tell it to save the image as, and let's call it Merritt Island Plants 1, because we're going to maybe do more. And then there's birds. That'd be great for the animal part of it. So let's save this image as Merritt Island birds. And then let's see landscape. Well, there's Merritt Island. So we can stay within here. I'm not sure which we like better, that one or that one. I kind of like this one for now. So I'm going to save that image and I'm going to say Merritt Island landscape 1. And now I've got one for every part of the kiosk. And I'll go back into the space, and here under plants, or over plants, I will replace this as an upload, select from my device, go into my downloads folder, and go Merritt island plants. And bingo, there's that beautiful plant. All right. Now come over here, and you know what I can also do is, I'll do it in a second when I'm done. I'm going to annotate this, take this, put this bear, and go to my uploads, and select from my device, and this time do birds, and that animal comes up there. And I'm going to come over here to landscape and select an area there that I want to replace, and I'm going to go and upload. Notice that these other things appear now in your bank of images that you can use again and again. So once you get them off your computer, they become available to you later on. So Merritt Island landscape, and you don't have to go through the process of downloading them again. So there it is. Okay, there's Merritt Island. So that gives you that capability, and then having done that, your last task, once you've put stuff in, is to annotate by adding a note and saying, can anyone identify this beautiful flower image I put here? And then sign it so people know who to respond to in your class, and bring this up. And you might have to back up a bit. It is very difficult to move stuff around. It is not obvious, so here's where you want to use your positioning, and then just place it that way. Get familiar with that, and then lock it if you don't want it to be moved again. These images are all locked. I have locked them, so they aren't going to move, fortunately. If you don't want yours to move, lock that or it will get moved. And then do the same thing here, add a note and say, add note, and type in, is this a blue jay, a scrub, is this the threatened scrub jay? And then sign it. I guess you have to put your last name if people know you in the class, and say okay and enter, and that should appear, except it appeared in front of me. So grab it and turn it around, and then to get it up there, you may have to click on it and then move it up to the picture that you want to put it on, and then move it over closer. Remember, as I said, when you're in the VR headset, ooh, I just messed it up. What did I do? I moved it back. Where did I move it to? It's probably lost way behind here. Help! Where did my... Oh, it went way back there. Look at that. It almost went to the edge of the world. So I'm going to grab it, and you can walk it over. Like when you click on it and with our left mouse button, you can like walk it back into place or run it into place. So that's Archibald. We weren't in Archibald. Where were we? Where were we doing all this? The blues goes there. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete this because I can't find where I am. So hit that trash can, and then it's a permanent deletion, and it's gone. Let me find where we were. I wasn't paying attention enough. I'm sorry about that. I think we were at, I don't know if we were there, or we were here. There we go. That's another one. This has me saying TH was here with his family. It's Silver Glen Springs. I love the boat tour. So that's there. Here we were. We were here. And so that blue jay, let's try that again. So face the wall and add a note. This is going to make it easier, and say, is this the threatened scrub jay I heard about on the field trip? And then you ask your question, and then hit enter, grab it, and try to move it close to there. Now when you hit edit, you will be able to move it back and in X and Y until you get a proper placement, and then lock it. Boom. All right, so nobody can move it. And that way you can annotate all of this, and then you can also do the same for landscapes. And that's what we suggest, is that you put a note for for each of the images that you put up, this water feature makes me think of my love of boating. I would love to visit here and hopefully see anhingas in their natural habitat, for example. And then, so whatever you want to say, that's the place to say it. In a note, grab it. If you're facing the kiosk, when you grab it, it will turn. And so you have this ability to kind of walk it into place once you've grabbed it with the left mouse button. And then click on it and make sure you lock it. So that's the activity. You've now annotated, you've picked pictures and snapped them into place. Looks like that, by the way, is not perfectly, let me go bigger here. That's not perfectly placed on there. So let me click on this and let me unlock it. And let me go and position it a little bit closer. There we go. So it's actually on the wall. And now lock it. All right, so I've put my notes on the pictures I brought in. They're better if they're your pictures. If you've gone out on a field trip to these wonderful nature reserves and you've taken photographs, if you've taken scans of various objects like the swamp buggy here, or you've gone to a place where they have interesting artwork or sculptures like this Trash Creek Panther that we have here, if you have interesting places that you found on Spatial that you want to drop a portal to for people to visit, this is your playground. This is your sandbox to really get into, and don't be restricted just for pictures and objects. I mean, look at how when we come in here, the sandhill cranes that I showed you that were in my Sketchfab account, those sandhill cranes are now in the world down here. And up here, we've got a living animated bear that we brought in. Let's turn around and say it. Hello, bear. See, there's the animated bear. You could come in here and say, I'd like to bring in other wildlife. Maybe you're over here by the, let's see if we can find a area of water here. And maybe you're interested in, this is all saltwater. Well, there is a saltwater crocodile that is in the south of Florida. So let's see if we can find a crocodile. We know alligators, but what about South Florida crocodile? So here you would go, add content, go to Sketchfab, and this is where you need to have a Sketchfab account. Obviously I have my sandhill crane, I got my rosebud, I've got my animal signs, I got IBC tanks, then they offer computers and weird creatures, but you can search for crocodile and see if they have anything that you can put in. And there is a crocodile skull, there's a Siamese croc, there's a Nile crocodile, and there is a crocodile here, there's a crocodile here. So several models exist. There's a sculpture, right? Just as I did the Trash Creek sculpture, there's probably a brass sculpture available. Here's a crocodile model. That one looks pretty good. So I'm going to bring in the crocodile model, and it has a view on Sketchfab button, but I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to get rid of that view on Sketchfab by turning it off. There we go. And bring my crocodile down, and let's see if I save that. Do we want to make this crocodile bigger? Let's see. And let's try to make the crocodile a little bit bigger and bring it down in the y-axis. And I think I need to rotate it because it's obviously a croc that's supposed to be coming out of the water. So I'm going to keep rotating it and put it in the water, so not in the land, because it's very strange how it's coming out of the water there. Let me walk it over and walk it back into the water. All right, that's the croc coming up on a sandbank, as it were, and then I can lock it. And now the croc is in there to be visited. So you've got that ability there. Whatever people have brought in, you can find an empty space because it is your sandbox, and bring it in. If we are near, let's see, if we're near the path of the panther, let's go back down a little bit. We don't have any panthers in here except for my trash creep panther, so let's bring a panther down here into this area by the cedar forest, which is nearest to big cypress. That's cedar, sorry, cypress forest. And in this area here, let's add a panther, since we know how to do it now. So we go to Sketchfab over here, and we put in Florida Panther. See what they got? No, they got nothing. So let's just try Panther. See what that comes up with. There's a black panther. There is a lot of the panther tank, but no Florida panther. There's a 3D model that you could get and then you could paint, as I did. You have that capability. And look at that, there's a panther chameleon. There's so many cool things in here, but there isn't the right panther, so let's try mountain lions, since they are the one closely related. And if they find that, we'll put that in and we'll call it a day. There's a skeleton. Okay, there's a low polygon mountain lion. And that looks like, and there's bones. You can really learn the mountain lion's skull. So let's bring in a low poly mountain lion and see if it comes in. Where did it go? There it is. It's not coming yet. Maybe, there it is. Aha, okay. So there's the mountain. Oh, and it's actually animated, which is super cool. All right, so here's this animated thing. Now it does have a sign with it. That's the default. And that sign says that it is viewable on Sketchfab. If you want to turn that off, you go to Information down here and turn off Show Info Panel in Space. And now you have that panther, and you can bring it into the ground, and you can go to Edit, and you can scale it up to make it however size a panther that you want, and bring it so that its feet touch the ground down in the y-axis. And that's its feet are buried in the sand. That's not realistic. So let's go up to here, and let's rotate it a little bit, and maybe walk it into the bush like that. Or do we want to rotate it so it's coming out of the bush? Anyway, that's your decision. It's a little hard to rotate because it has a center that's not centered really properly. It's one of the design features. Whoever designed it didn't put the center in the center of the panther. So maybe we have to bring it like this and then drag it out. Again, if you were doing this in the VR headset, it would be a whole lot easier. So I can't, actually it's trapped inside there. Oh no, because I'm inside a grass area. It's going to be really hard to get it out because I'm trapped in another box. So yeah, it looks like this is going to have to be, I'm trapped inside the grass box. Ah, I got it, okay. So let me move it outside of the grass box, and let's have it drinking water from Lake Okeechobee. And we don't conflict with another box. Let's bring its feet down a little bit. And let's walk it back a little bit right into this nook here. And then let's lock it. And yeah, we have an animated panther along there. All right, so this is beautiful. This is how this works. And we hope you'll have hours and hours of fun with it inside the sandbox. And when you're done decorating it with whatever plants and animals, I guess I should show you, you can put plants in too. So, okay, let's do one more last thing here because it's so exciting. Let's see that we have to put in a tree. Let's put in a, I don't know if they have even the native Florida palm. The native Florida palm, one of the great ones is the sable palm. And so if we're in here and if we can find a model of it, we'll go to Sketchfab and say sable palm. Maybe we'll be lucky. Let's see. Ah, there we are. Sable palm and a sable miner. So it looks like we have a sable palm, and we can put it right in here. It's a great way to learn and to do research. And let's move this sable palm once it comes in. There it is. Let's move it by the panther up here and bring it down. Let's click on it. Let's edit its scale a bit. Let's go into the info box and get rid of the info panel in the scene. And my apologies, give me 1 second. That's a beep going on there that we don't want. That'll drive you nuts. Okay. So, very last thing, the sable palm goes in and we click on edit and we bring it down so that its base goes down to the river, to the side of the Lake Okeechobee. And true biologists are going to be the ones who tell you, hey, this is an inappropriate plant for this area, or this is an inappropriate animal for this area, and that's how we all learn together. But for now, we will act as if there's a sable palm right at that bank of Lake Okeechobee until we do some research and learn differently. And then lock it. And maybe when the Florida Wildlife Corridor is complete, there will be panthers able to cross and get to Lake Okeechobee and do their amazing range, and black bears to do their amazing range, because the animals used to be able to go all the way up the corridor to the north of Florida, and then they would hang out and have families and have fun, and then when they got to the north of Florida to Blackwater, they were able to grab something to eat, and then they would head all the way back down the corridor. And right now, as you can see, the corridor spaces that we've put here are often separated by long distances, and that's the challenge of the Florida Wildlife Corridor. We need there to be a path for every planet walker, a planet line, a corridor for every organism to be able to get up and down and sideways through Florida and be able to continue that wonderful process of coevolution and harmony that made this the most spectacular state in the Union for wildlife. So thank you very much if you are participating in this, and come on into our sandbox and join us, and let's have a great time. Thank you, and so long.